Today's episode is going to be fun and happy. We are going to be using color that is bright and welcoming for these new seasons that are rolling out around us. We're going to be using yellows, lemons, little touches of orange, mint. I'm so excited to share all these ideas with you today. Now come along and let's make something beautiful for our homes. For this DIY, we're going to be using this glass jar from the Dollar Tree, some of these oats that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and then we're going to be working with an orange color. First, I took my jar outside and I just gave it a nice spray paint coat of white. And now I'm going to create a buffalo check or gingham, whichever you prefer to call it, pattern on the jar. So I'm going to take that orange first and I'm going to lighten it with some white. And it's going to make more of a peachy orange color first, which I just think this is so pretty when you pair it up with the lemons that I'm using throughout this video. And I just use my heat gun gently over it. Don't hold it too long on a glass surface because it can crack the jar. But I'm just going to come back in after going vertically. Now I'm going horizontally, and I'm just creating this nice grid pattern with my brush. Once I've gotten all around, I'm going to come back in with the original orange color before I added the white, and I'm going to fill in the squares where the lines cross into each other. Once I had that all done and it was dried, I went ahead and got my oats, and I just went ahead and cut them down, and I'm going to put them in the jar. And I love this because once it was all done, it's ready to be displayed. For this next DIY, I am going to be starting off with these 3 different size boxes, and I'm going to be spray painting them to give them a base coat first. And then we're going to be using a free printable inside my craft room, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to bring it all together to make really cute stacking boxes. Once I laid out my large garden bags, I actually just cut these open and lay them down on the ground, and they make the greatest spray painting surface. You can see that sometimes I have some dust lines blow over, but I've been able to get those up before with a scrub brush. So I'm just going to give these all a nice coat of white paint all the way over them, so that way when we use the printable that I'm using today, it's going to be able to have a nice base to be put on and you don't see the green popping out around the corners. Once they were all dry, I brought them back inside, and this is the free printable. I designed these myself, and I'm giving them to all of you today for free. All you have to do is just click the link down below and it'll take you over to my website where you can download them directly from my website, which is virus free and safe. And I've made them in 3 different sizes, a large, medium, and small PDF printable where you can download all of them and be able to use them for your project. You also could use them for so many other things too. So I wanted to make sure that there was a little bit of overhang for everybody just in case your boxes are different sizes. Then I traced around my box with a pencil onto the actual printable to get the exact size, and now I'm just cutting them down with my paper trimmer. I'll link my paper trimmer and my tape gun down below. I get asked questions about these 2 all the time, which ones are my favorite, and these are my 2 favorite paper products to be using for tools. And then I'm now just going to simply adhere them to my box, whichever patterns I want. And then once it's all done, they stack away so easily whenever you're not using them.
If you're new here to my channel, welcome. My name is Heidi Sonboul. I love crafting and doing DIYs. I hope so far you have felt inspired by the things that you're seeing in this video, and you'll consider clicking that subscribe button and joining my YouTube channel.
For this DIY, we're going to be using this printable and this printable, and we are going to be making miniature lemon boats. Now for all of my printables, I always like to shoot a little bit of hairspray on it because it really does lock in that ink from my printer. Once that's off sitting and drying to the side, I'm going to cut my lemons a little bit bigger than half apart from one another because I want it to be a little bit thicker on one side, the other part was just a little bit. Once I've got them separated, I'm going to take some sandpaper and I'm just going to sand down that foam to smooth it all out. Now I'm going to take these printables. I know that many of us have scrapbook paper on hand, but if you're a new crafter, I thought that it would be fun to give you some pattern paper to work with. You're going to go ahead and add some hot glue and then press that right down onto a piece of the paper. And then I'm going to use my piece of sandpaper and just sand until I get a nice clean edge. Now I'm going back in with the printable that I have for you, and I'm going to cut down 2 triangles from this same pattern. We want to have a triangle that reverses the pattern on the back side because we're making the little sails, and I want to make sure the pattern is on both sides of the sails so you don't see the white cardstock on the back. Once I had those sails all cut out, I took my skewer stick and I'm just going to poke a hole once I've cut it down to size, down to the middle of that lemon, and I'm just going to make sure it's nice and leveled, and then at this point I glue it down into the lemon, and now I'm going to add on the sail. So I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue, press that down, and then I'm going to flip it over on the back side, add some more glue, and apply the other part, the back side of that pattern that we cut out earlier, and press everything down and nice into place so you don't see any seams or cracks. Once those are done, I went back over to another part of the printable, which was this little banner flag that has stripes and it says summer on it. I went ahead and cut that out, and you're going to notice on that printable, on the striped lines, I have a little black outline on it so you know where to cut so you don't cut it wrong. And then you're just going to fold it in half, and then you're going to curl it around the skewer stick and just hot glue it down into place and add another flag to it. And then one last thing, I added 2 clear circles at the bottom with my hot glue so it'd have a nice stand to stand up. This DIY is going to be using this printable where we are going to be using the little scale clock. Now we're going to need 2 of these cups that they have at the Dollar Tree, and then 2 of these mini squares also from the Dollar Tree. Now yes, I know my E6000 is at the end of its life, but friends, I squeeze every drop out every single time. I'm a very frugal crafter. So once I've got my E6000 and hot glue for a short-term and long-term hold, I went ahead and applied it to the bottom silver cup, and then I put on the clear cup on top. Now we're going to be making a miniature scale for a tiered tray. We're going to take that printable with the scale, we're going to cut it out after we've spray painted our cup white, and then we're going to simply glue it on, and you can style it with whatever you want for your tiered tray. For this DIY, we are going to be using this printable right here, and we are going to cut out the bicycle paper. I'm going to be using one of these wood plaques from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use it to cut out my lines, or trace them out better yet, and then I'm going to just cut right on the line so I can get the right sizing for my wood plaque. And we're going to be making a miniature sign for my tiered tray, and I'm just going to add some Mod Podge down first to be able to glue it on, and once I've got a nice thick coat of it, I went ahead and lined up my printable. And remember, I always like to add a little bit of hairspray first because it locks in the ink and then it doesn't make it smear whenever you use Mod Podge. I just don't want it to have that bleed any of those colors. And then I basically came back in after it was all dry with some brown paint, and I just distressed the edges lightly to give it that cute farmhouse look. For this DIY, we're going to be using this printable, and we're going to cut out the lemon sign, and we are going to first paint one of these wooden plaques from the Dollar Tree, a nice coat of white paint, and then with some Mod Podge, we're going to go ahead and stick on that sign right in the middle. I love that it had a white border around it. I thought it really made it stand out and just look so pretty. And then I went ahead and sealed it all in, and it was ready to be displayed. For this DIY, we are going to be using this darling template for a lemon, and we are going to be cutting that out, the lemon and the leaf, and you're going to put it on whatever yellow fabric you would like. You can even do this on green and make a lime instead. And I'm just going to double up my fabric and cut around it, and after I've got a couple of them, I went ahead and moved over to my leaf and did the same thing, because we want to have a front and a back. And now I'm just taking my hot glue and coming around the sides, gluing those edges together for those that don't sew. If you sew, by all means, you can sew with your sewing machine around the edges. And then I'm just going to stuff it, and then I'm going to close it. So you can see here that I'm pinching the fabric together for a real quick look. And again, you can sew this, but I find that with these type of projects so little, the hot glue does work pretty well. And so I would recommend doing it this way if you're looking for a fun, fast project. And then once it's all done, I went ahead and took some twine up at the top, wrapped it around a few times, and then tied a bow. Now, this could be so cute if you made a whole bunch of these and put these on a garland. I had that idea after I had got working with this and made these two separate ones. I thought, how cute would it be to do even more and to make it with a garland? I think that would be so adorable. Once my bow was in place, I went ahead and glued my leaves, the front and the back, together, and then I added them to the back of the lemon, and it was ready to be displayed. For this DIY, I'm going to be taking this wood round from the Dollar Tree's craft section. I'm going to cut off the twine, and I'm going to patch this hole because I'm going to be turning this into a lemon slice. Once I had that patched, I went ahead and came in with my sandpaper after it had dried for a little bit, and now I'm going to add on my yellow. I'm using more of a mustardy yellow color. And now I'm going to use a thin white brush to create my lines. So I did a circle and then a couple of different lines, and now I'm bringing in that element that makes it look like a lemon. So you can see that towards the top of these, we're going to call them pizza slices, you can see that I'm kind of curving in that corner to create that look of a lemon. And then at the end, you can distress it however you would like, and you have a darling lemon. This DIY is going to be using some of these doilies from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using two of them because I'm going to be making two miniature bouquets of flowers. And then I'm going to take some of this craft wrapping paper, I'm going to cut it down to about a square or a rectangle size, and then I'm going to, you can see the fan was on in my craft room and it was blowing the doily all over the place. Once I've got that glued down, I went ahead and cut it down to size, and now I'm going to scroll it up so it resembles a wrapped up piece of paper around a bundle of flowers. And then I'm just going to glue that into place. Now at this point I decided to rough up the edges at the top just a little bit so it looks like it's kind of curling over. And once I got it to a place that I liked it, I went ahead and added some twine, and then I tied on a bow and hot glued it on so it didn't slide off over time. And then I just cut down the twine ends so it's not too long. And then at this point, we can go ahead and take a piece of foam. I'm going to add some hot glue after I've cut it down to size so it fits down inside of our little paper. And then we're going to just add our florals. Now you can add whatever you want. I went with daisies for this since my theme is yellow in this video and I'm doing a lot of lemons. But you go ahead and just add whatever flowers you want to it and it's ready to use on your tray. Now friends, at this point we are ready to start decorating my tiered tray. I know that these are such a fun, trendy thing to do right now, but I gotta tell you, I really do love decorating a tiered tray. There's something so fun about bringing in a whole bunch of miniatures, and I'm gonna say these can be really pricey when you go to the store. They can cost anywhere between $5 to $7 for all these different little things, and I made each one of these for under 50 cents. Super affordable, and you can see as I'm just playing with it and adding on all my little elements, it really does just give such a fun look to your home decor. I really had so much fun creating all of these projects and bringing all the look of it together for you all to enjoy today. I do hope that you try some of these fun miniature DIYs. If you haven't already, please do give this video a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel and helps my videos get out there and be seen. It's such an easy way to give back if you enjoy watching these videos that I have made for all of you, and it just means the world to me. I personally love these miniature buckets from the Dollar Tree. I always get them in the wedding section. I'm going to make a miniature bouquet bucket. I thought that this would be so farmhouse cute for my tiered tray. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to stuff it with some foam to make sure that I can stick my flowers into so they don't come out. So I went ahead and glued the foam all down into the bucket, and now I'm coming in with some yellow, green, and then some of these white sunflowers. I think that's what they are. But I just love how they looked with the yellow, the white, and the green. I thought it looked so cute all together. Now you can use any florals on this, but I just think these are so cute, this little bucket. And there are stores that sell these for like $5 to $7, which is crazy because I'm doing this for about 50 cents. I love decorating tier trays and how fun it is to put all kinds of these tiny little elements, which can really add up to a lot of money. So try making them yourself, and don't forget to grab the free printable that I provide in this video. Please do give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to check out this other really happy video I posted the other day, as well as this mega video. I think you might enjoy both of them if you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much for stopping by, and until the next episode, bye friends.